It's time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. We are in mid-January. We are rolling right along here into season 4 of the Get Home Safe podcast. Hard to believe, but as I said last week, hey, like it or not, ready or not, the world keeps spinning. The pods hopefully keep coming out, and there's a few consistencies out there in the world that we can always count on. Sometimes it is just the sun coming up. Sometimes it is you're going to have a long day at work on Friday when you're trying to get out of there. And typically something that is very constant that is you can set your watch by is Dallas Cowboys failing in the postseason. And for the first time in 30 years, that's right, 30 years. I am 38 years old now, but for the first time in 30 years, the Dallas Cowboys, man, get a road playoff victory. I think I speak for everyone when I say congratulations. I think you need to hang a banner for that one. A wild card win on the road. Well done, Dallas Cowboys. You beat a Tom Brady that is, definitely on the tail end of his career, and we've seen this before. And I, in all seriousness, I do want to give Dallas some credit, but it is hilarious to me the confidence that pours out of people. First playoff road win in 30 years, 1993. Are you kidding me? I heard that stat. I was like, that is hilarious, hilarious. Just to put it in perspective. The last time the Dallas Cowboys had a road playoff victory, Tom Brady had his learner's permit. Yes, he was 15 years old, did not even have a driver's license. And 30 years later, that teenage kid would make history as the first Dallas playoff. I've got to keep it all together here. First Dallas. For all of Tom Brady's accomplishments, he is the first Dallas playoff victory in the 21st century on the road. That is really cool. I think we need to have a ceremony of some type. As much as I give hate on the Cowboys, they barely make the medal stand of my hatred out there. They're firmly in the bronze position. You guys know where I stand with the Raiders and, of course, that dreaded 49er team. So as the 49ers prevailed this last weekend, defeating the Seattle Seahawks, who came in with a fighting spirit, but the second half, the Niners were just too much. The 49ers and Cowboys, two teams I despise. Well, I would go Al-Qaeda, Taliban, 49ers, and then maybe vegetables. There's a few other things below before I get to the Dallas Cowboys. I respect the great state of Texas. I like Texas football. I like the passion Cowboys. That's rather masculine mascot. How can you not hate that? The rugged West. Okay, there's some things to support there, but they're America's team. Who declared this America's team? America's been not doing so well in the postseason on the road the past 30 years. If they're America's team, but America has been in decline, and maybe that's the reason. But I do despise the 49ers, as you guys are well aware, especially the LA 49er fans. But God bless you. We all make mistakes. I've made plenty. And the 49ers and Cowboys will be teeing off against each other this weekend. The only silver lining, again, meeting the second consecutive time in the postseason, is that one of them will go home. And you know what? There is one time, there's one time in my life where I root for the Cowboys, and that is when they play the dreaded 49ers. So I was talking to a Cowboy fan earlier in the week, not the one you're thinking of, but it was, again, we have a the super spreaders of these fan bases that you guys know I've talked, the big ones, the Cowboys and the 49ers all over here in Southern California, especially. But I was talking about 49er fans and just my feeling towards them. And the comment that was made to me was pretentious. This was coming from a Cowboy fan, which is hilarious. But they said 49er fans pretentious. So it was like, that's a big word. I got to look it up to make sure. But yeah, annoying, all those things. And I know there's a few, I don't know if they still listen to this podcast or not. There's some Super Bowl deniers from last year, you know, who deny the things that happened or whatever. And which is last year. I always talk about recent relevance. That's what's hilarious about the whole Dallas Cowboy thing. And again, hey, congrats, man. 21st century. It's been here 23 years. You finally got a road playoff win. I'm happy for you guys. Just incredible stuff. Dak Prescott did look great. Cowboys defense is of course unreal. And I picked the Bucs thinking maybe Brady had a little magic in him, but it was Dallas from kick till final whistle there. And rightfully so. They got a good team. There's a reason they won 12 games. They're heading up to San Francisco. This is going to be a heck of a game. I think, regardless of my opinion of the two teams. You know what? I think Dak Prescott, some people say he's not elite. I think he's better than Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy has shown us recently in the past few weeks that all he does is win, man. And he's got a great cast around him. So it's going to be a good football game. You remember what happened last year with the final play and Dak running the draw and running out of time and everything. I think we're looking at another very close game. My only hope in this entire thing from here on out is the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, because if the Giants are able to pull an upset again, I mean, even though Minnesota was kind of an average team, if the Giants are able to find a way to get to the NFC Championship game, I think it's Cowboys or 49ers going to the Super Bowl, because I just don't think they have the horses. But stranger things have happened. So I think, unfortunately, we're looking at a potential Cowboy or 49er NFC champion headed to the Super Bowl, which just hurts, man, especially after my team finally wins a Super Bowl in Los Angeles. But hey, there's sacrifices that must be made. It's a lesson, I think, to all of us that, hey, how bad do you really, really want something? How bad do you really pray for something or ask Santa for something? You may get it, but it may come with repercussions, if you will. So I believe with this stuff my whole life, the Ram mediocrity and the 49er annoyance and Cowboy, whatever you want to call it, just arrogance, we'll say. I don't know. It's all there, and it's what makes football great, because even if you don't have a team in the race, you start rooting indirectly. And sometimes you don't root at all. Like I was kind of pulling for the Chargers last week, but what they did in the state of Florida, I mean, what an absolute collapse. That was the worst Florida comeback in Florida since Al Gore and George W. Bush. I mean, brutal. How do you go up 27-0 and lose that game? How do you lose that game? And I know it started Trevor Lawrence throwing the 4 interceptions. Okay, you spotted them a few points, but my goodness, Chargers. And I want to talk directly about something that happened in that game with Joey Bosa and the referees. And you know me, I defend the referees whenever I can. I try to at least provide perspective for you guys that maybe just want to react and be like, how could they do that? I try to give some type of explanation, and sometimes there is no explanation. That was a bad call, or hey, there was no excuse for that. But I want to go into not the play call, because there's 1,000,001 plays. What's holding, what's not. It is what it is, but I'm all about behavior, right? And Joey Bosa, for him to act the way in which he did, I think he had it coming to him. And some people would say, well, wait a minute. What did he say to the referee, Sean Smith? If you watch the game, he walks by Sean Smith. He says something. He doesn't. These athletes, they know how to play the game. They know there's cameras on at all times. They know how to walk by an official and to say something, maybe under their breath. When you are a football player, you have a helmet on, so you can't always see what they're saying. He walked by Sean Smith and he said something to him that sent Sean Smith off big time. And he ran back in front of Joey Bosa and said, what'd you say to me? Basically. And so my perception, my 2 cents of the whole thing is this. Number one, it probably wasn't the first thing Bosa said to Smith all night. Number two, it could have been something very egregious, a big no-no. Basically, you and then not something good. You are blankety blank. It could have been that. And it could have been something that he misunderstood. I mean, when you're constantly berated all game by one individual guy, you're berated by people all game. But when it's one guy who is just going over the top, you eventually draw a line in the sand as an official and say, look, I'm tired of listening to you. All right. I'm tired of it. Like, it is what it is. You don't have to like it, but you're not going to whine and complain to me all game. So eventually you got to draw a line. But I think whatever he said was probably something pretty bad, because just think about the official. How many referees have you seen done that in a football game where the referee, he walked by him, he said something, he ran in front of him and he mouthed, what'd you say? And he ended up flagging him, right? How many times have you seen that? Not a lot, right? Meaning, it was probably something pretty bad that Bosa said. I love announcers and how they always assume, like, just from watching a video, like, oh man, he didn't even do anything. It's like, how do you know what he said? You have no idea what he said. We always assume that the player didn't say anything when we see a referee reaction. And it's like, there's a reaction because something was said that either crossed the line or was, again, you just prolonged or whatever. There's a reason for the reaction. And I'm not totally excusing Sean Smith in this. I mean, it looked like he lost his cool a little bit. And the referees, officials are supposed to be, supposed to have thin skin, right? And all this. But I'm telling you, man, it's human beings out there. And referees are under a ton of scrutiny right now, nationwide, especially at the highest level. The whole roughing the passer thing, I'm so mad about it in the NFL and what it has become, and how oh my goodness, you tackled someone, we have to throw a flag, right? And it's from the owners. People can complain about it all they want, all the defensive players, but it all comes from the owners. It comes from the overreacting commissioner and the league executives on down. We're paying these quarterbacks 40-50 million, we can't have them hurt. Whereas a penalty flag is not going to magically make somebody rise from their injury, right? But I'm tired of all this safety talk on. I'm gonna say something controversial. I'm sorry. I have no issue with more. I watch boxing. I watch MMA. I watch it for the violence. And yes, I watch football for some regulated violence. And there was a brutal injury at the end of the Buccaneer Cowboy game. Sad to see. This is part of why we watch this stuff. Okay. It doesn't have to be popular. Oh, no, I watch it for the wide receivers to catch passes in the corners and to drag their feet. We watch football for the trench warfare, for it used to be big hits that you can't have those anymore. I'm sorry. You know what? How come there's no CTE talk for MMA fighters and boxing fighters? You know what? Those dudes take some pretty nasty shots, and you could say, well, it's not on a weekly basis, like football is, but this attack, pun intended, on the violence of football, it's just gotten out of control, and it's watered down the game. I mean, you can't hit receivers over the middle anymore. That used to be a big time thing. And you know what's a good cure to not get smoked over the middle of the field? Don't run that route. Don't throw that pass. But now it's like, oh, a defender, oh, you can't hit a guy now. A quarterback. I mean, back to the officiating. So officials are put in impossible situations, and in playoff atmospheres, athletes are going just super intense, all in, right? Every little thing that happens is scrutinized, and they just want every play. They want 51% of the gray area. And so I think, honestly, that's what happened. People are saying, how could Sean Smith be that unprofessional and blah, blah, blah. I guarantee you, if you heard what Bosa said in the game, you'd probably be saying the same thing. Oh, that's very unprofessional. You know what's unprofessional is slamming your helmet down, having it picked up by your head coach, handed to you, and then slamming it down again. I would have flagged him again, personally. Because I was, if I was at a point in my career where I was like, nope, we are going to shoot a hostage here, no pun intended. Sorry, too soon, whatever. I'm not worrying about offending anybody. You get the imagery. To set an example, hey, put everyone in line. Like, this behavior is not okay. Boom, flag. Oh, it's your second one. You're ejected. Go complain in the locker room. That said, yeah, there were some pretty rough calls all weekend, and there always are. Everyone's shocked like that this happens, but it's the best athletes in the world. Yes, the world, who are competing and trying to gain an advantage in every inch and scratching and clawing. And so, yeah, things pop up that are more controversial. I just tell people all the time, like, the fact that you think it's the best, you think the fact that these are the best people allegedly in the world and are struggling at something. I mean, you see the best football players in the world and make mistakes. I mean, why would you think that officials don't make mistakes? I mean, it's just hard to do. And I do want to speak to something that, Jason Whitlock mentioned. He's the only guy I really heard talk about this. But I do agree in a sense, and I wasn't robbed of any kind of job or anything when I was climbing the ranks or whatever. But I do think there is something to be said. Let's look at I don't know, airline pilots. You look at any industry you want. When you start trying to fulfill quotas of certain, I don't know, groups of people, certain genders, we need this many Asian chefs in our restaurant. We need this many Peruvian airplane pilots. When you start doing things that way in any business you have, you're not looking necessarily for the best people. Maybe the best pilot is a Peruvian dude who has a taxi company. I don't know. I would guess not, but you never know. I mean, why is there no, what? I want to see more. I want to see more Asian referees out there in football. I have never seen any Asian referees. Maybe there is one and I haven't seen one. I mean, that's just how ridiculous some of this stuff is. And the NFL wants to push, women out there. I got nothing against, I worked with women. I got nothing against women officials. There's plenty of bad male officials. But my point is, when you start trying to say we need more, I don't know, representation, whatever words you want to use, can you, that'd be like saying to an NFL team, okay, in the draft, you can only draft in all 7 rounds that you have, unless you're Rams who give up all your draft picks, in all 7 rounds, you have to select a player from every single conference. But wait a minute, but the best players are most of them are in the SEC. There might be a good Pac-12 player here or there. Yeah. But we need to make sure that everyone in football, in the NFL, where we're trying to get the very best, that we have equal representation from each team. No. Maybe there are 4 or 5 Georgia players drafted, and rightfully so. They're the best team, or the best conference, the best competition. So maybe that happens. But you see my point. You cannot try to get equal representation or whatever you're trying to do. You know what? I found maybe, my job's unique. There's a lot of women at my job. I wouldn't say it's about 50-50, but I would say 60-40, maybe 70-30. Male to female, because it's a job where it attracts men and women pretty much equally. They have an equal interest in doing it. Not every job does that. And just because there's one, I don't know, Filipino referee in the entire country doesn't mean, well, we need a Filipino guy. Let's push him to the front of the line. I mean, that's just not how things work. And this is why you can't play identity politics with everything. You just can't do that. And so I'm not saying that's why the officiating's bad. I got to make myself completely clear. I never got to the NFL. I was a marginal college official, but I've seen it at different levels too. And it's just like, it's not always, don't try to paint me in some type of corner here. Like, oh, Matt hates these people. He hates those people. I don't hate any people. Well, let's see. I hate some people, but it's not the people you think. Usually like murderers and, criminals and stuff who generally get free releases and everything now. But I don't care anything about the identity of somebody. Like, no, what type of fruit does your tree branches produce is all I care about. So you just cannot function this way, and people are going to complain, people are going to point fingers, and it's like, well, wait a minute, you wanted equity, right? And I'm using the officiating as an example of where we're at in society. Air traffic control, that whole mess. We want to be equity, right? We want to have a certain, I don't know, Pete Buttigieg, is he the guy in charge? Does he know what he's doing? I don't know. We haven't had all these flight cancellations and flight issues before. You generally would, in a football game, you look at the head coach. Hey, why is this team losing? But we don't do that in other areas of our lives. I'm all over the place. I know it's a Tuesday night. I'm a little tired. No excuses. We power through and we keep going. So how long have I gone already? 17 minutes or so? No, 20 minutes. All right. So the Funniest thing is also blaming referees in a comeback loss. Like Charger fans are furious at the referees. And it's like, wait a minute. I think mirrors still work in the country. Maybe they'll be outlawed soon because they reflect back to you. And some people don't want to see what is looking back at them. And so I'm sure here in 2035, we will outlaw mirrors to some extent because they are very hurtful for our fragile feelings. But if you're a team that blows a 27-point lead, you have zero, and I mean zero ability to look at the officiating as the problem. The referees did not miss tackles, they did not miss blocks, and they didn't blow a 27-point lead. That's on you. That is on you. You know, in the dugouts, often when I'd be umpiring, you know, you'd ball a pitch, close pitch should have been, it should, look like strike three or whatever. Inning should have ended. And then of course the game knows, as I was saying, and the game knows, the game gets you, the baseball gods, whatever. And then a pitch later, a guy would double in the tying run or whatever. And then, hear from the dugout, that's on you, meaning me, the umpire. And that'd be an ejection. And for the most part, generally be an ejection. Anytime you put that, that's on you, that's like, whoa, you're getting personal here. Can't have that. So that's what I want to say to the Chargers and their fan base, both of you. That's on you. Don't you blame officials. Look in a mirror and you know what? Play for 4 quarters, will you? Let me see. You know what's cool in the playoffs? It's really cool to see guys who have been on bad teams and who are now seeing success in the postseason. Saquon Barkley comes to mind. He was drafted high overall for the New York Football Giants, the G-Men, who are having some success here. Big playoff win. Brian Daboll, man, coach of the year for sure. But anyway, Saquon Barkley, and seeing the fire and the energy in him, because you go to Penn State, you're a big time player, you get drafted by the Giants, and then all of a sudden you just take a beating, a pounding. How come Saquon can't get any yards? You're on some 3-win, 4-win teams. You're paid professional to show up every day and give your best effort and improve daily. But that would wear on you, man. Just constantly losing all the time and having no success. It's a reason why guys snap and do stupid things. So it was cool for me to see, as an example, someone like Saquon Barkley, who's been on bad football teams for a long time, and to see him playing with passion, firing his guys up. I mean, just, you could see he was so hungry to win. And I think when you see guys on bad teams, you think they lose that hunger. Like, oh, that's not a winner. He just doesn't want to win. I think it's far from the truth. And it's something in the NFL specifically where the worst teams in the league, they still got some amazing players, some great talent that just, it looks bad compared to the other greatest athletes in the world. But you can't sit there and say, oh man, the players on the Chicago Bears, the number one pick coming up this year, the number one team picking number one this next year. Oh, they got nothing but bad players. Do you know how marginal, how thin that line is between just great and excellence and to just looking ridiculous? I mean, look at the Rams. I mean, they won the Super Bowl last year and they look like a completely different team. Injuries, of course, and all that, but that's how thin the line is in the NFL, and I gotta imagine in other sports as well. So it's just cool to see guys who've stuck it out, who have stuck with their team, kept fighting, kept playing hard. Basically the opposite of like a LeBron James. That's kind of the way I'd like to put it. Guys who've been on bad teams now seeing success. Really cool to see. Just another awesome thing, part of the postseason. Let me see. No, I don't want to go there. You know what I like to do, especially when I have a long weekend of football watching, and it was a long weekend, 2 games Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday night. You got to do what you got to do. The announcers drive me so crazy, unless you get like an Al Michaels. Love Al Michaels. Who else? I cannot stand Buck and Aikman anymore. They just, speaking of pretentious, they have that I don't know. I used to kind of like them. Now it's just a joke. I much prefer Eli and Peyton on their broadcast because they're talking strategy and stuff. But man, I tell you, it's weird. I know people will probably look at me like I'm crazy, but man, when I get a chance, I got the game on. I usually volume pretty much down. I got some music going, maybe a podcast in my ear. I'm utilizing like all 3 different, I don't know, what would you call that? Entities or all these electronic devices or whatever, and just different things to kind of make the games more interesting, beats the downtime. And I'm able to listen to a few things, which I really, really like. So I know I'm a lunatic, but that is just something that I enjoy when I'm by myself. I don't have friends to talk to about the game or whatever. I'll text some people. I'll send out some social media posts, but that's kind of what I like to do: music, podcast, and the game on. Unless I really, really need to listen to something, because generally they're just like, oh man, what a run, or hey, 2nd and 7, or if there's some type of explanation, I'll turn it up. But yeah, the guys in the broadcast world, they are few and far between for sure. Where are we at now? Okay, 25 minutes, looking good. So playoff games this weekend. First of all, the recap: Seattle, not much of a chance. I mean, they hung in there, took the lead at half. The Jaguars coming back against the Chargers, that was awesome. The Dolphins, who were very undermanned and outgunned, I thought they fought hard. The whole delay of game stuff, man. I mean, I don't know. It's got to be hard getting the right play out and wording all that and making a decision within 10, 20 seconds. But to have delay games in key situations is a pretty rough indeed. The Bengals and the Ravens, guys, you know what? Mark Carson has said this on the Charge to Keep podcast before. There's no reason to reach the ball for the goal line unless it's 4th down or maybe a 2-point conversion. There's just too many bad things that can happen. If you can't score on the next play, by getting that close to the goal line, do not reach the ball for the goal line. Get knocked out. It could get taken 98 yards for a touchdown the other way. It could go out of the end zone for a touchback, which is a great rule, despite what modern day media says about it. One of the only defensive rules in football, I think, is great. So ball goes out of bounds anywhere else on the field. It just goes back to the offense. There should be as were written in the rule book years ago, the fumble out of the back of the defense's end zone is a touchback. I think it's a great rule. So you just can't do that stuff. I mean, think of all the hard work you put in all summer, all season, all preseason, just all the details, fighting through injuries, all the schematics and the scheming. And you lose a game basically because you reached for the goal line when you didn't need to. And to have the ball hit out and taken 98 yards the other way for a touchdown. I mean, that's what drives coaches just crazy. And it's what makes the game of football just a beautiful game, because anything could happen. And that was something I had never seen before, especially in a playoff game. I do like John Harbaugh. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. I made a list of who I thought the best coaches were in the NFL. And I'll probably get to that maybe in a week or so. But he was asked a question. We got to stop with this sideline questions from reporters after the first quarter, after the third quarter. Let's go down to the sideline and talk to the coaches. Stop it. What are we trying to? We're trying to do this instant access or whatever nonsense to get what's going through the coach's mind. Stop bothering these guys. And it's usually coming from a sideline reporter that pretends to know football, but doesn't know anything about it. They're pretty and they've been around a long time. And don't get me started on some of the experts in football, whether they're on the sidelines or in the booth or whatever. I mean, and it's not a female thing either. Anthony McFarland, I won't even say his real name. He's an absolute joke. He was on the sideline at one point. They put him up in the ESPN pregame show now. He's an embarrassment. There's a lot of guys like that. And you just shake your head thinking, man, I wish I would have sucked this stuff out and started at an early age in college to go right into broadcasting or something to maybe get a head start and get my own radio show and stuff someday. But I got the free Get Home Safe podcast with 28 listeners or however many people are tuning in. So I am about as happy as can be. So stop talking to the coach. Talking to the coaches as they're running off the field for halftime is one thing, and even that's a little too much. Let's talk to the coach in between quarters. He doesn't want to talk to you, but let's try to get something out of him. And John Harbaugh was pretty upset because they're kind of almost going into strategy and game decisions and stuff. Like, that's nobody's business. We are so critical of coaches and every decision they make. How could they do that? How could they? It's because, and then we want them to talk to the reporters during the game. Give us some insight on why you're making, what decisions you're making. Stop it. Let them do their thing. Let them coach, man. They have consultants on the sideline. I mean, if you want to be a sideline reporter and watch, watch the coaches, what they're doing. Okay, fine. And this is, again, coming from a guy that has kind of become a little sideline reporter for the Real Hondo Prep football team and the Charge of Keep Pod, and trying to offer information to our broadcast team, but not giving away too much, because there's stuff you could say. You're like, oh, we shouldn't have done that. So I'm speaking from a little experience here, not much. And they're the professionals. They make the millions. I know. But I'm allowed to have opinions. You criticize referees. I can criticize the way things work, the way the world. I'll get away from football for a minute. Crazy circle. Oh, that was something else. I'm a guy, and I know I run a podcast, actually too. And it's like, Matt, you just ramble into a mic and say what's on your mind. And I don't know that I could do this stuff in front of a live studio audience or anything. Maybe it would be fun to get some questions and things, but it's just not in my nature. I've said this before. Public speaking terrified me, still does. To talk in front of a group of people is just horrible. To talk to a girl approaching a young lady back in the day when I had to do those things, terrified me. I could work home plate in front of 10 20,000 people, no big deal, just in the zone. Go ahead, yell at me, think what you want about me. I'm doing my thing. So it's crazy how we are sometimes. But I remember one friend, and we were out, after, I can't remember when it was. I don't think it wasn't umpire related. It was just friends out, on a weekend or something. And, you're looking for, places to sit, get a table and stuff like that. And or belly up and stuff like that. And so, but I remember when he said these words, I thought to myself, man, we are completely different people. And that's totally fine. Totally fine. Trust me. But the words he said was something like, I would say, hey, do you want to sit here? Or hey, you want to sit? And we need to find a place to sit, or something along those lines. And he's like, no, I'll stand. He says, I'll stand up. He says, I said, okay, cool. Cause there's times I want to stand too. But the words that came out of his mouth was, he says, when you stand, you get noticed. And I just remember thinking, well, I got no problem standing. I've stood on fields for a long time. The last thing I want is to get I don't have that bone in my body. Maybe other people do. And that's why they're really good at Instagram or whatever. But I was like, what do you mean notice? Like what, by women? Like whether I stand on a chair or sit on a chair, no woman's going to notice me. I'll tell you that right now. And I don't care. I wouldn't want that. I would hate that. I hated eyes on me. It changed as an official. Like I said, you put that uniform on and you go out there with your buddies to work games. It was totally different. It was one area of my life, my one little, not a force field, but just you go out there and you got like your arm, you feel like you got your armor on and you're impenetrable at times, even though you get chased off the field and yelled at all the time. But that always stuck with me. And it's sometimes from friends, it's like one little sentence that sticks with you and that you remember. And that was something I remember that all the time. I was like, getting noticed. That's the last thing I want. And I know there's been, what is it? I read that book, or part of it one time, was talking about like how to pick up, basically to how to talk to women or whatever. And a few friends were talking about it. And I was like, all right, I'll read a chapter or so. And I was just like, they talk about, you need to peacock. You need to dress like so that you stand out. I was like, oh, put this away. Not at all. Are you out of your mind? Stand out? I've been at games. I've been at places where I know everybody there and I still kind of keep to myself. It is not in my nature by any means to get the spotlight on me. I don't like it. Not one bit. Even if it is congratulatory or to say, I don't know. It's just not my thing at all. Definitely a lot of embarrassment maybe over the course of my years on this earth. I don't know, but some people like being in the shadows, which I do. And then other people want to be in that spotlight, man. They want to be, and it's weird. I know, coming from a guy that's running a podcast, talking into a microphone, hopefully people are listening or watching. And, that's another reason I didn't want to go on camera and do a YouTube thing. I fought it for a while. And then a few of you were like, no, you need to do it. It's just it's the new age and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, fine. Got to find a new shirt, sweater. Val got me this for my birthday. Pretty cool, huh? Los Angeles, kind of the city where we live, where you generally root for those sports teams. All right, all right, all right. I won't let you crash your car if you're listening to this. You know who you are. What else can I say about yeah, I just remember, it gets you noticed. Like there's times you want to get noticed, I think maybe when you're like I'm one of those guys is like, man, just do your job, work hard, and if people take notice or people take notice of you not screwing up, that's a good thing. Like as far as officiating, right? That was our number one thing that was always said. Hey, you're doing a good job if no one notices you. Yes, I completely agree. That's how I like to live my life. I don't want to be a guy that sticks out. Hopefully not negatively, but positively. Just want to do our thing and like, sure, it's nice to get a pat on the back every once in a while. But for the most part, I think this is a big difference. I'm not going to get too political here, but I think there's a big difference in like, I don't know. And there's some really confident, conservatives and this and that who crave attention. But I'm just talking specifically from a government standpoint. Like, I don't want the government to do anything for me. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. Don't give me anything. Opportunity. I don't want, well, I need to take care of this guy and promote him. And it's like, no, or we need to make laws because of this. No, we don't. No, they're stupid people, and we'll eventually lock them up and whatever. But we don't need to stop making laws and rules. We're going to ban gas stoves here now. What about all the people that are going to freeze to death? Is that okay or no? You guys get me going sometimes. I swear, I write down a few things during the week, and then I come on here and I fire up the mics. I start the song. I look at my little list, and I'm like, man, how am I going to start? How are we going to go? What am I going to do? And most of you are probably like, yeah, we can tell, Matt. We can tell. Totally unprepared. You ramble away. What are you talking about? You're talking about total randomness. I've told you guys before, this is strong opinions and random thoughts. And I've stuck with football for the past few weeks and now because it's playoff time. But yeah, I do write down random thoughts. I got to tell you, as a guy who's, no matter what you're doing, and this is something I didn't do a good enough job in officiating. New shoes, man, every 6 months. At least your work shoes, not your fashionable shoes. By the way, we know how women are with all those shoes, and I have some friends who have this issue because they're hip and stylish. How many pairs of shoes is too many pairs of shoes for a grown man? And I'm really asking this sincerely. And I have a few friends that have like 30 different pairs of running shoes and tennis shoes. Oh, these are my yellow ones. These are my red, white, and blue ones. These are my, okay. The men should not have a lot of different shoes. I think tennis shoes, I would go casual tennis shoes, maybe a pair of workout shoes, maybe a pair for like outdoors, like trails or something, not quite boots, but something like that. Definitely a few pairs of dress shoes, maybe a black and a either a gray or a brown, a slip-on, multiple sandals, some slippers. I mean, we're almost up to 10 right there, which I think is a lot for grown men. Pair of cowboy boots. Got to have a pair of cowboy boots. I'm working on a second pair for this summer. Definitely need a black pair, but I don't think grown men should have any more than, definitely not more than 15. And that's a high number. I would go 10, honestly. 10 pairs of shoes. That's 20 individual shoes. Clothing. Like, how many sandals do you need? Okay, you have 2 pairs of sandals, one for the water, one for going. I've talked to you guys about men wearing jeans and sandals. I don't like it. Hey, I don't know anything about fashion. Look at me. Look at me. I don't know anything about any of this stuff. I'm just saying, from a grown man standpoint, pair of work shoes. How many shoes should grown men have? Man card violation if you have more than 10. Somebody write in. Tell me. I want to know. I know some of you guys just one pair of sandals, one pair of tennis shoes, and one pair of dress shoes, and that's cool. That's fine. I mean, that's really all you need. Pair of slippers maybe. I got some rain boots that are definitely important for work. Getting out about. I mean, the first few days of having wet feet, you're like, never doing that again. Buy some rain boots. But back to like work shoes. This is something I didn't do a good enough job of in officiating. I'd buy a really nice pair of shoes that was comfortable, and I'd try to like make them last a few years. No, 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 no. If you're wearing a certain pair of shoes every day, which work shoes would fit into this, I got to tell you, man, every 5 months, every 6 months max, it's time to get rid of those, get some new ones. I got some great Under Armour tennis shoes that I generally wear for work, and I'm into like my fourth or fifth pair now. I found a pair that is a great price, not too expensive, where I can afford to buy new ones, just because you gotta keep the dogs comfortable, you know what I mean? So that has been something I've committed to doing, and just like, why didn't I think of this sooner? I don't know how the military or law enforcement is with their, I would think they care a lot about their feet and stuff, but I didn't. This is a question. See, I'm starting the pod with this thought of new shoes every 6 months, man. You got to have it. And then it just evolved into the, how many shoes should a grown man have in his closet? It's a good question, I think. Let me see. Just off the top of my, okay. Tennis shoes. Okay. Workout shoes, nice pair of tennis shoes, maybe some slip-on semi-dress shoes, a pair of nice church dress shoes, wedding shoes. That's already 5 right there. A pair of sandals, a pair of slippers, cowboy boots, 8, rain boots, 9. Is there anything I'm leaving off? Shower shoes, if for the gym, or for, we had those for umpiring or officiating. Yeah, maybe a dozen. I think a dozen. And let's call it that. Any more than a dozen tennis shoes, a dozen tennis shoes, a dozen shoes, at least more than 15. 15 is always my number, right? But yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. More than 15 pairs of shoes. That's a big time. That's a man card violation. I'm just saying it. I'm saying it. Maybe some of you go, oh, well, yeah, I have. Well, anyway, you shouldn't be listening to me on fashion advice anyway. What am I saying? But anyway, shoes every 6 months, woo, has been a big time blessing for me. And I'm still hurting. I'm still limping around out there. I want you guys to realize something. We all get packages from different shipping companies, right? And I'm in a lot of businesses. I do a lot of houses too, but a lot of times that's just dropping it off unless a signature is required or stuff. But we have a little interaction with the customers on the business side of things. And especially when we're picking something up, nothing drives me crazy than, well, I'm gonna try to paint the picture for you guys. Like showing up, interaction with people. Oh, this is my plea for civilians out there who deal with FedEx drivers, UPS drivers, whoever. Your stop is not the only stop of the day. Okay, it's not the only. So when you start prolonging a stop, there might be 99 other stops that drivers have to get to, and minutes matter very much so. Your stop is not the only stop. I've run into a few situations where it's been like, well, it's not ready yet, or they're bringing it up right now, or it's just like, look, I got no issue with minor delays. These things happen, but there's other people who are depending on services. And so it's interesting to see out in society, again, just little experiments that I have in the world of life, and just this whole, how people treat others. A lot of it, you see it when you're driving, right? And how we think the road is ours. I'm very bad. I get a lot of road rage, not in the truck, of course, but in the car, my personal car, at times. But yeah, I just think that we lose track of, hey, this is not the only stop. A good example would be the grocery store, in the grocery line, right? And some people in the grocery line are just super slow. Or my favorite is when they try to start making conversation. It's like, what are we doing? Can you look for friends somewhere else? Like, this is a quick transaction. This is supposed to be quick. Hey, how you doing? Hey, fine, thanks. How are you doing? Yeah, it's raining today. I mean, it should be brief stuff. People think like, well, this is the only opportunity. This cashier's going to have to talk to someone today. Oh, the only opportunity I'm going to have to talk to someone today. Ever met these people? It's like, you don't see there's people behind you who probably don't want to talk to you, want to watch you talk to them. Let's keep things moving. So that's kind of the analogy. Like I've noticed with, like, sometimes you run into customers, maybe in your walk of life too, is it could be, I'm sure, like ordering food. And I've been bad at this. You go in a restaurant, you like look at the food, you're like, oh, well, hang on a minute. It's like, wait a minute. Don't step up to the plate if you're not ready to swing. You know what I mean? We're not here to take pictures. We're here to order. Keep things moving. And I'm sure the people working the drive-thrus, working the they're just like, there's other people, sir, who are waiting to order. You are not the only person feeling these things, doing these things, whatever. This only person in this activity. These are just observations, guys. I throw out there, and I don't want you guys to think I'm too much of a crazy person, but that's just the things I think about. Much like the pandemic we have of dropped passes. If I see another professional wide receiver drop a pass that hits him in the hands, what do you guys practice all year? How do you? I don't understand. It's almost like I don't understand the guys that can't set the edge. Like, hey, you're the outside guy here. Make sure they don't run around you. And then guys just like the Dak Prescott thing. The outside guy came in free and he went for the handoff in the middle of Dak Prescott walked around him. Stuff like it's basic stuff. They call it, protecting your flank in the military. I mean, it's like, I don't know much about that stuff, but I'm just saying. But okay, fine. Your eyes get manipulated, whatever. But this whole dropping of passes things is driving me crazy. I watch games. I don't even care who's in the game. And I see guys drop passes. And it's, hey, sometimes it could happen. But I see guys, it's like all the time. And I wish, with all the criticism of officials out there, that we could start fining guys for dropping passes. It's literally your job. It's a ball. You catch it. What is the disconnect? Why is people talk about how great wide receivers are now? Oh, they're so fast and they're so explosive. And it's like, you never saw Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, Chris Carter. You never saw those guys drop passes like that. Michael Irvin. Oh my goodness. I'm not talking about tough catches, toe tappers, one-handed thing. I'm talking about basic catches, like in that Bills game. Miami, they're chucking it deep early and they got all these drop passes. It's just inexcusable to me. You can't drop passes. You just can't do it. You're a wide receiver, not a retriever. Catch the ball. Just catch it. I mean, you hit your hands and you get blown up, fine. You would have felt better if you would have caught it, but just catch it, man. What is going on? It just, the sport has almost, in some areas, people talk about the physicality of it. I'm just talking about basic stuff, like catching a ball. Catch the ball right here, two hands, diamond, pickies together, however, whatever your style is, catch it. I know field goals are hard to kick. I know blocking guys is difficult, but catching a ball, that's a choice. Most of the things we do in our life is a conscious decision. And I've dropped the ball in my life. Yes, I have. But most of the things that occur in our life are conscious decisions. We make a conscious decision to get out of bed. We make a conscious decision. I'm going to sit here and watch TV. We make a conscious decision. I'm going to go work out. We make a conscious decision what we put in our mouth. There's no one spoon feeding us. No one is going to hold your hand into the job you're doing. I know I'm all over the place. And if you're still with me, God bless you. Godspeed. But I just drop passes. It drives me up the wall. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And it's at all levels. But especially in the NFL, millions of dollars to catch a football. Now, I know getting tackled is hard. I know running is, but to catch a ball? What are we doing? Catch the ball. Please. For the love of God. I need this. I cannot watch this stuff. I can't, it's just stuff like that drives me crazy. Okay. Brief predictions before I got to go today. I look at the 4 playoff games, the great 8, right? 4 in the AFC, 4 in the NFC. I love the wild card weekend this weekend. And I'll say the AFC NFC championship weekend is probably my favorite weekend of the year. 2 games on Sunday determine who goes to the Super Bowl. The divisional round is a close second. You got 2 games Saturday and 2 games on Sunday to determine who advances to the Final Four. Jacksonville at Kansas City. I think Jacksonville has had a great year. I think they'll keep it closer maybe than people think. You never know what to expect with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are the best team in football, and they could blow out the Jags, but I think the Jags got some fighting spirit in them. They'll keep it at least 10 points. I don't think this will turn into a rout too bad anyway. And we'll see what happens. But I think the Chiefs will come out victorious in the Saturday night game. Giants, Eagles. Eagles have been off for a week. They're banged up again. I think the Giants come to play. It's tough to play a team for the third time, division rivals here. But I think the Eagles will squeak out a win over the Giants in a hard fought game. Who knows about Jalen Hurts or what the Eagles are going to look like after a week off, but that's just my prediction there for the NFC East battle there in Philadelphia. Sunday, we have the Browns. Wow. I tried to say Bills and Bengals, and I said the other B team. The Bills and Bengals are facing off. This is going to be a great football game. This was the game that should have been played a few weeks ago when Damar Hamlin passed out. And, I think there's going to be a lot of full hearts in this game with an opportunity to advance to the AFC Championship game. The Bills are hungry to get there. The Bengals were there just last year. I like Joe Burrow better than Josh Allen. Josh Allen the past few weeks, man, has really been reckless. Just turning the ball over left and right. I mean, you just can't have that stuff. I think Joe Burrow is going to be smarter with the ball. I think we're going to see a pretty low scoring game here. And I think it will be the Bengals who are out victorious, something along the lines of like a 20-17, something like that. I think a one possession game for sure, but I do think the Bengals advance to their second straight AFC Championship game this year. And finally, the 49ers and the Cowboys. I mean, flip a coin either way. One of them's going home, which is great, but either way, I'm screwed in that they go to the NFC Championship. A big reminder. Remember when the Niners and Cowboys, back when they used to win Super Bowls, they played each other in the 90s there, and some great matchups there with Steve Young and Jerry Rice against Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman. And Dallas won 3 Super Bowls and I think it was 4 years. And then in between a 49er Super Bowl there, but they always met in the playoffs, or so it seemed. NFC Championship. And so it's pretty cool seeing them play each other back-to-back years. Last year in Dallas, this year in Santa Clara. So all my biases aside, I'm going to be rooting for Dallas. I know some of you are like, you're recording this. This is in the records forever. You know what? The enemy of my enemy is my ally, or something like that. I mean, this isn't exactly the Allied powers in World War II or Axis powers, and I won't even go into all that to discredit my opinions here. But I got to go. I'm rooting for the Cowboys. I'm tell you this. I'm rooting for the Cowboys. I do think the 49ers win the game. I think the 49ers are a better team, top to bottom. The one advantage might be at quarterback and Dak Prescott, who's been inconsistent in his playoff career, but Brock Purdy knows nothing but winning and just is like, doesn't know anything else to just get out there. And maybe the Dallas pass rush will put some pressure on him, but the 49ers got a heck of a pass rush too. So we'll see. I'm rooting for Dallas. Oh, that sounds so weird to say. I wish they could tie. I really do. I wish they could tie and no one advances, but unfortunately one team will. I think it will be the 49ers, and we'll get the 1 versus 2 matchup on each sides of the bracket. No, Buffalo's the number 2. So anyway, that's my final 4: Chiefs, Bengals, and Eagles, 49ers. Oh, come on, Eagles. I need you. Eagles or Giants, you're my only hope. Otherwise, I'm going to have to wait an entire month for the Super Bowl, knowing that either the Cowboys or the 49ers will be in it. Don't do this to me, please. I've had a rough year already here in 2023, but all is well. Playoff football, back for more action, and going to be back next week on the Get Home Safe podcast, recapping those 4 games. Can't wait for it. Get all your chores done nice and early. We're going to finally take the Christmas decorations down Saturday morning, bright and early, because it's been pouring rain here in Covina. We're going to get that done and set up shop for the games. Last week's menu, it will not be this indulgent this weekend, because I'm cutting back. I know it's hard, but in January, at some football season, playoff season, I said, all right, I'm still going to eat some good stuff, but not nearly the great stuff. What did we do? We had shrimp cocktail. We had chips and guac. We had some like pastry cheese things. We had pizza rolls, one of my personal favorites. I mean, we did some bacon in the morning. It was an indulgent playoff weekend. And thankfully, from here on out, there's only 2 games a day. So 4 games this weekend, 2 games the following weekend. So the football food indulgence will dwindle away as unfortunately football finishes up here in the next month or so. Guys, thank you for tuning into the Get Home Safe podcast. Big things ahead for not just this podcast, but the other podcast, Charge to Keep Here, which we will get going again in a couple of months. Christmas and New Year's, all that stuff's over. We are into season 4 of the Get Home Safe podcast. Nothing but of energy, effort. We're ready to go here. Keep this thing going. If nothing else, I get to vent some of my frustrations and opinions for about an hour or so. And some of you may listen in spurts here or there, but it's fun to get on here and do this. Thanks to you loyal listeners, especially my my favorite Peruvian brother, Fred Montablanco, who's always tuning in loyally and giving me great feedback. And it's like he said, his weapon of war is social media. We all have to go with what we got. His weapon of war is social media, and he's a great Facebook troll and other accounts as well. I preferred to come on and save up for a week and then spill out some of my opinions here on the podcast, just to so no one can talk back. Kind of like, when I was officiating. Hey, what'd you say? I'm gonna go go Sean Smith on him. So yeah, there's an opportunity for me to get on here and just say what's on my mind. And thank you for those of you that continue to listen. I know it's not that interesting, me just talking about random football games and stuff, but for those that tune in, couldn't do it without you. And looking forward to a lot more pods here in the future. Have some great ideas. Can't wait to get those things started. Happy January, everybody, as we roll right along, and enjoy the rest of the NFL playoffs. The greatest postseason in the world. Yes, the world. No ties. Every play matters. It's just physicality. Win one game and advance. And it's the best of the best playing the best of the best athletes in the world. And there is no disputing that. And if you'd like to, I beg you to try. But anyway, thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Be back next week. Enjoy the football. But as always, guys, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or rounding third base, get home safe.